Today, we're diving into a really powerful ancient vision. It's all about dominion, empires, and, who's ultimately in charge.
You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling through your phone, you see the headlines about political chaos, global conflicts, and it's just so easy to feel completely overwhelmed, like things are just spiraling out of control. Well, it turns out that's not a new feeling. Way back, over 2,500 years ago, around 553 BC, a prophet named Daniel had this absolutely terrifying nightmare that gets right to the heart of that same anxiety. But what he saw, well, it offers an incredible perspective on who's really running the show.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with Daniel's crazy nightmare and this parade of monstrous beasts he saw. Then we'll shift gears completely to a stunning scene in a heavenly courtroom. We'll see how a new, totally different kind of kingdom gets set up, and then we'll tie it all together and see how this can help us move from anxiety to real confidence today.
All right, so the vision kicks off with pure chaos. Daniel sees the four winds of heaven, just whipping up this great stormy sea. And out of all that turmoil, these four massive, horrifying beasts start to emerge, one right after the other.
Now here's the kicker. As Daniel finds out later, these weren't just, random monsters from a bad pizza dream. Nope. Each beast was actually a symbol, a living, breathing picture of a major human empire that would rise up and totally dominate the world stage. So let's break this down. Let's look at this parade of beasts. Who were they really? What did they stand for? The details are incredibly specific, and as you're about to see, they line up with actual history in a way that's, well, pretty mind-blowing.
So the vision lays out this clear succession of world powers. You've got the lion, that's Babylon. Then the bear, which is Medo-Persia. After that, the leopard, representing Greece. And finally, this truly terrifying fourth beast, which represents Rome. This isn't just a random list. It's like a prophetic roadmap of history.
First up, Babylon. It's pictured as a lion with eagle's wings, and this is a perfect image. The lion symbolizes fierce strength, and the eagle represents incredible speed and supremacy. Both images Babylon loved to use for its own propaganda. In fact, archaeologists have literally dug up statues of winged lions in the ruins of the city.
The second beast is a bear, and notice this detail. It's raised up on one side. This is a brilliant symbol for the Medo-Persian Empire, which was a partnership, sure, but one where Persia was clearly the stronger, more dominant power. And those three ribs in its mouth? Most scholars think they represent three of its biggest conquests: Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt.
Okay, next up is a leopard with four wings. What does that scream to you? Speed, just unbelievable speed. This perfectly captures Alexander the Great's lightning-fast conquest of the known world. It was stunning. And the four heads? After Alexander died suddenly, his empire was split between his four top generals. See how that fits?
And finally, there's the fourth beast. Daniel can't even compare it to any animal he knows. He just says it's frightening and dreadful and incredibly strong. It has these iron teeth that just devour and crush everything in its path. This, of course, represents Rome, an empire whose military machine and sheer brutality were unlike anything the world had ever seen before.
Theologian James Montgomery Boyce really hit the nail on the head when he said this about the vision. From God's point of view, the state is an animal that conquers, devours, and tears. It's a pretty sobering thought, right? That for all their magnificent achievements, human empires often act like savage beasts. But here's the good news. The vision doesn't end there.
Right at the moment when the chaos on Earth seems totally overwhelming, the scene shifts dramatically. We are suddenly yanked from the violence and turmoil of these earthly kingdoms into a place of absolute order, authority, and justice, a heavenly courtroom.
And the contrast is just wow. It couldn't be more stark. On the one hand, you have the beastly kingdoms. They're all about chaos, arrogance, violence, and their power is always temporary. But on the other hand, you have the heavenly court. It's defined by perfect order, holiness, justice, and its authority is eternal. This is a tale of two totally different kinds of power.
At the very center of this court sits a figure called the Ancient of Days. That's God himself. His clothing is white as snow, which is a picture of absolute, untainted purity. His hair is like pure wool, signifying ancient and perfect wisdom. And his throne, get this, it isn't made of gold or jewels. It's made of flaming fire with wheels of burning fire. It's a picture of unstoppable, righteous judgment. The ultimate authority has just taken his seat, and you can imagine the whole universe just holding its breath.
Okay, so the court is in session. The beastly kingdoms have had their time in the sun, but now the climax of the whole vision unfolds. A new ruler arrives, and he's about to receive a kingdom that will make all the others look like, well, nothing.
This is the moment everything turns. Daniel sees one like a son of man, and he's coming with the clouds of heaven. He approaches the Ancient of Days, and he is given a kingdom. And listen to this description, because this is key. It's an everlasting dominion that will not pass away. Every other kingdom rises and then falls, but this one lasts forever.
And this just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? Those mighty empires, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, they seemed so permanent, so invincible. But in the end, they're really just like sandcastles built by the shore. They look impressive for a little while, but they are destined to be washed away by the unstoppable tide of God's eternal kingdom.
So, what in the world does a 2,500-year-old vision have to do with us and our chaotic news feeds today? How does this epic cosmic drama about who's really in charge help us trade our anxiety for genuine confidence? Well, the vision itself gives us a pretty clear roadmap. We can break it down into a simple framework: head, heart, and hands. First, in our heads, we have to rethink earthly power. We acknowledge that every political system, every nation, every leader is temporary and flawed. Second, in our hearts, we can actually rest. We can find real comfort and peace knowing that Christ's kingdom is the only one that truly lasts forever. And third, with our hands, we can act. We can point other people toward that better kingdom, sharing a hope that's way more lasting than any political fix. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If all the powers, all the nations, all the politicians that dominate our headlines are ultimately just sandcastles on the shore, how does that change the way you're going to read the news tomorrow? And what does it free you up to focus on instead?